These days, just about everything you buy, milk, canned food, snacks, comes with a little printed date on the package. Whether it says best before, use by, or just expiration, that date helps you decide if the product is still good. It feels so normal now that most of us don't really question it. But how did expiration dates become such a big part of everyday life? Turns out, it wasn't always this way. And strangely enough, we might have a notorious gangster to thank, at least partly, for bringing attention to it. Back in the early 1900s, people usually bought food from local markets or directly from farms. It was fresh, unpackaged, and didn't sit on store shelves for long. So there wasn't really a need to label things with dates. But everything changed after World War II, when industrial food production took off and supermarkets became more common. As people got farther removed from the source of their food, they started wondering, how fresh is this? In the UK, the famous retailer Marks & Spencer started putting sell-by dates on products back in the 1950s, originally just to help employees rotate stock in storage. By the 1970s, those dates were printed directly on consumer packaging. Meanwhile, in the US, groups of savvy shoppers, nicknamed the Code Breakers, figured out how to read secret codes printed by manufacturers for internal use. These women started demanding clear, readable dates on food items. That consumer pressure worked, and stores gradually adopted what we now call open dating. So by the late 20th century, best by, sell by, and use by became normal parts of packaging. Europe eventually passed laws making expiration dates mandatory, starting in 1979. But in the US, it's still mostly voluntary. Only infant formula requires a federally regulated expiration date. For everything else, the date is usually set by the manufacturer based on when they think the product is at peak quality, not necessarily when it becomes unsafe. Now here's where things get interesting. Alongside all these industrial and legal changes, there's a lesser-known, kind of legendary story involving one of America's most infamous criminals, Al Capone. According to a widely circulated tale, someone in Capone's family got sick after drinking spoiled milk in the 1930s. At the time, milk was often unpasteurized and came with no labeling. Capone, who was trying to go legit after the end of Prohibition, had started investing in the dairy business. He supposedly used his influence to pressure the Chicago City Council to require bottling dates on milk containers so people would know how fresh their milk was. Some versions of the story say it was actually his brother Ralph Bottles Capone, who had experience from their bootlegging days, who pushed for this change. They even tried repurposing their old alcohol stamping machines for milk bottles. While there's no solid evidence that any law was passed directly because of them, the story stuck. It captured the public's imagination and brought more attention to the idea of safer, better labelled milk. So even if the Capone family didn't officially invent expiration dates, their involvement in the milk industry and the drama surrounding it may have helped spark public conversation about food safety. And that's pretty wild to think about. A gangster playing a small part in what would eventually become one of the most basic things we check on our food. In the end, expiration dates weren't the result of a single person's invention. They evolved through a mix of consumer activism, supermarket logistics, industrial innovation, and some unexpected legends along the way. So next time you're scanning the date on a milk carton or wondering if that yogurt in the back of your fridge is still good, take a moment to think about how that simple label got there and how a guy like Al Capone might have helped nudge it along in his own strange way.